This is the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. We talk all things health, wealth, and community connection. Let's go. Welcome back to the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. Today we are here in LightHouse Studios in Bali, the premier content creation studio in the motherfucking world, or at this island especially. I'm here with one of my close friends, Jenna Switzer. She is a sex therapist, a coach, a yoga teacher, and one of my homies for a very long time here. And everybody loved the last podcast we did together.
It's true.
It performed really good. It was actually like, I think we nailed it. We always have fun together when we put stuff out. It's, you know, you could tell that we have good banter and a long history of ridiculous banter between us. So we figured, like, you know what? Everybody liked that one. Let's do another one. And I was thinking today for us to talk about the do's, the don'ts, and the dick pics of dating.
I'm so into it. It's kind of a little bit interesting because this topic is slightly like a step before sex coaching.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I wish everyone knew so that they didn't need sex coaching later. So I'm kind of trying to work myself out of a job in this podcast. We'll see how it goes.
Actually, I was thinking of it in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
I was thinking this was like the pregame to sex coaching. So if you don't get, this is modern flirting 101 is what I was thinking was like, okay, if you don't get this part done right, you won't even get to the sex coaching.
Yeah, that's true. You're not even going to get to the sex part.
You're not going to get to the sex part.
No, that's true.
And I wanted to talk about, like, from your perspective of getting, approached, or how you want to be approached, how you don't want to be approached by, probably thousands of Indian men online. Like, show me your bobs. Like, we want to make sure that, like.
Why did you know that's what they sent me?
Come on. Well, I laugh a lot about, like, the confidence really Indian men have of hitting on white girls online.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
Amazing. Truly.
I feel ashamed about it, but it's also hilarious. Yeah. So I'm like, I feel bad for the women, but is there any part of that that's kind of like, thanks?
No. just no.
Not even.
You know what's funny though? Because like I've never been offended. Like, you think of in North America, you're walking past a construction site and somebody like hollers or something. I've never been offended by that. I've always just been like, yeah, bro, you're welcome. Like it never fazed me. But I have to say, like when I get these messages, like especially Instagram is like the wild, wild west of somebody from India who tells me, hello, my name is such and such. I'm from India. I want to talk to you about my penis. Huh? And I'm like, no, not on Instagram. Like, here's my coaching. They're like, no, don't need coaching. Just need help with masturbation. I'm like,
yeah. Excellent. They're like, we've been masturbating to your page for weeks.
But it's like anywhere. Like people just get this inflated sense of confidence behind a keyboard.
Of course.
And like the stuff you get sent, like, I mean, as a woman is insane. I was talking to our mutual friend, Anoop, who has the Noop Face page.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
And he gets some good stuff, but he gets like different requests. Like I was like, do people ask for your feet pics all the time? And he's like, what the hell, Jenna? People ask for your feet? And I was like, yes. I think any woman who posts a photo of her with bare feet on Instagram will get requested foot pics.
No fucking way.
Oh, yeah, man. All the time. It's wild.
Did we talk about this? You remember this page that's been following me for a while, Toronto Foot Worship?
No!
Yo, this is funny. Shout out to Toronto Foot Worship. Yo, it's like this gay dude in Toronto.
Paid promotion.
He's been following me for a while now, and he like will always like if my foot's remotely in a story or photo, he'll be like heart.
Do you wanna?
It's on there somewhere. Oh my god.
Do you want to lift your foot up?
No. I mean, my right toes are a bit gimpy from the accident.
Yeah.
They're just pre-loved or loved hard. So this dude will comment like sort of creepy stuff on my page, but it's not so creepy. It's more like, that's gay, but thanks. Like I appreciate it, like it, because it's like, well, like thanks. Like the attention of it is a little bit like, well, like thank you, and it's not like super.
Not
like,
too far.
It's not too far.
Yeah.
It is pretty gay, but it's also like I'm flattered. And so then he saw my buddy Damien, who's on the podcast, my big handsome trainer friend, and he started following Damien like right away.
I love that. That's so funny.
So yeah. So that's super funny when you get things online that are like, okay, like Borderline.
But even in the dating world, I feel like keyboard warriors are the most frustrating thing that either men or women like interact with. I'll just speak from my side of things, right? So if say I'm on a dating app and a guy starts messaging me and like he just talks and talks, like just text and text and text and like, are we ever gonna meet?
Okay.
And then you meet and he has no chat. Like there's no banter. There's no, like somehow you were all of this in text, but nothing in person.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we're going to address that, like how to overcome it.
Yeah.
But it's a really frustrating situation. And then you get these text messages after the date and they're beautiful, like nice. And you're like, why weren't you saying that stuff when I was there?
Yeah.
You know?
Introvert problems, I feel like. Or they just don't really have that much game. I think it's so much of our life is behind screens right now. So we're good behind screens. Like some people. I'm better in person because you know me, I hate fucking voice notes.
True, you really
and I message back pretty short, like I'll be yes, cool. And you know me well enough now that you know I'm just busy and I'm just like, yes, short, like I'll give you short answers. And then when I'm here in person, we get to jam and have a fun time. Or like we'll send each other memes, you know, like that's a way to like keep up a friendship.
Yeah.
And like me and AJ only send each other memes. We barely talk. We just send each other.
That is how I know that AJ cares about me. Is the dark memes he sends
These
me.
are fucked up. Yeah, we have such a fucked up algorithm now because of that. So yeah, it's just definitely like a very it's an interesting world, you know, of that whole banter online and then coming into person. And there's definite do's or don'ts in that situation. What were some of the biggest don'ts that you've had for being approached cold message online? And then I want us to go into person as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, like first let's say that we're really talking to people like us. Yeah. Right? So we're talking about people who are soul-led, who are trying to be the best version of themselves and wanting that to come across in the way they're interacting with other people, right? If you just want a body count, we're not going to be helpful to you. That's not our goal today, is just to get you a higher body count. If you're just looking to go on your, what does someone call it? The Eat, Pray, Fuck tour? I'm in my Eat, Pray, Fuck era.
How have I just heard about that? What the fuck? Like, just now that I've heard about this?
You're welcome.
Serious?
So like that's not who we're talking to. We're talking about you're looking to connect. You're looking to have intimate relationships that are actually going to benefit your life, to help you grow as a person, right?
Let's give you some depth.
So yeah, things that I would say, like I enjoy a good flirt. That's fun for me, banter, and it doesn't have to be going anywhere. Something I definitely recommend a lot of my clients to do is to try and flirt more, because flirting is really a playful energy. Yeah. But the issue is that understanding that flirting is a playful energy, and then recently I had this experience with someone that I'm going back and forth with on, you know, he's in my DMs. We met once, you know, he's a fun, interesting, good-looking guy. We're going back and forth, like a little bit flirty, and then dick pic. What? And my issue is like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, I'm proud of you for being proud of your body. I'm proud that you can get aroused and that, you know, you have a sexually active, you know, solo pleasure experience. And also, I didn't fucking give consent for that.
Yeah. Like, unsolicited. Yeah. Unsolicited dick pics. Yeah, I don't think those work. Like, no. Unsolicited isn't the way, guys. I feel like if you get asked for it, get the shot, man. Get the angles.
Get the angles. Get the lighting. Yeah. Don't just like, you know, take your time. Take your time. Make it good.
Oh my God. There was this fucking stand-up comedian reel that came on my page the other day. And he was like, he's this like funny black guy. And he was like talking about how he always wears socks because he has fucked up feet. Like his feet are like horrible. Like he has the ugliest feet. And he was talking to this girl and she was like, yo, before we meet up, let me see what you're working with. Like, let me see that wood. And he's like, all right. So he goes to the bathroom and he puts his foot up on the counter to really get the angle and take a photo. And then she sends it to her and he's like, yeah, my shit looks strong. I've got the vein in it. And then she sends back, she's like, yo, are those your feet?
Oh, no!
And he's like, shit, I forgot my socks. And then he was like, no. And she's like, but then whose feet is that? And he's like, I don't know. She's like, is that your dick? He's like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
It's pretty good, right?
So good.
Yeah, you got to be careful with what you got in the background of your sexy photos you're sending.
It really is.
But the dick pic thing, like
now we've crossed a line, right? Yeah. Like flirting is that playful banter.
Sure.
And if it's gonna go beyond, and we'll cover this, like there needs to be some level of consent.
Yeah.
You need to like let your intentions be known so that any movement forward is both of us doing it together.
Yeah.
Not just like, it feels like being dick slapped virtually.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that if you're someone who sends dick pics, you're like, girls love when I send dick pics. We don't love it. We just have to act polite because we wouldn't want someone to insult our genitalia. So we're not going to insult yours.
I mean, we're pretty sensitive about it.
Right?
Yeah.
And we don't want it. We really don't. If we haven't asked, we don't want it.
Like, what if a guy really wants to get that out there because he wants to get nudes of you? And it's like, what's the right way to do this?
That is not the way to get it. I am telling you, I was chatting with some girlfriends last night about this, and we were saying, like, every man, if he takes a dick pic, should, like, self-pleasure, orgasm, and wait for that post-nut clarity to hit, and then decide if he's going to send it or not. Because I feel like when men are aroused and turned on, anything goes. You're like, we need to
climb
like
a fucking window on a burning house, like whatever. I'll paraglide onto the rooftop.
Calm down.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're the same. Like, I mean, in that ovulation phase, it's like ain't no mountain too high. You know, we're gonna climb. We're gonna go. But I think there is this like this space of like flirting and playfulness is amazing, and we're going to chat about that. And then also it's like consent and how do we make sure that we're both on the same path and our interest level is matched up, right?
Yeah. I think this is the most important thing is like the interest levels matched up. And I want to talk about like, cool, how do you generate interest then? Because if like dudes don't know, if you don't know each other and say, okay, we'll start with the online dating game. And I think if you're going to be messaging someone cold online, find a common bond.
Yeah.
Like find a reason to talk first. Yeah. And usually it's like a low key compliment. I don't think it's good to go straight for like you're fucking hot.
Yeah.
You know,
and be authentic. Like don't be like, oh God, you're such a babe. It's like, oh man, I love that, you know, I'm a free diver, right? Like, I've always wanted to try free diving. It's awesome that you get the opportunity to do that. That's awesome. I'm excited to connect over something that I like. You apparently are interested. You know, like it's an authentic connect as opposed to like, wow, you look fucking hot in a wetsuit. It's like nobody looks hot in a wetsuit. Shut the fuck up.
I mean,
no, do they? Yeah. Oh, Halle Berry.
Yeah, that's exactly that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, I think you can pull it off, but still, though, you're totally right. I think like the way that because I grew up the fat kid, and I often it was actually like a gift and a curse in a way. Definitely a curse during the time it sucked, but a gift later on because I'd get denied a lot of play. Like I was not killing it in early high school. I was a chubby fat kid. All my friends were fucking jacked and like the hot jock guys. So, but then girls loved me because I was friendly and I was non-threatening and I was kind. So I'd get the girls as friends, and then my friends would hook up with them, and I'd be like, man, sitting there like choked, you know. It was like listening to Nelly. Nelly was huge, right?
Angsty.
Yeah, angsty. I had a dilemma,
angsty
and so
gangster.
Yep. And so then it was just like it wasn't really fun that time, but I learned like, well, don't go in with like this really cheesy, hardcore like energy. Like, why don't you start off with like a friendship vibe in the sense of like you can flirt, be playful, and let your personality really be the thing that generates interest.
Yes.
And ask questions. Like those are the do's. Like okay, like that what you were saying when someone just steamrolled you with talking about themselves, and then also when you met in person didn't have nothing to say. It's like, well, how about you ask questions?
Yes.
And I think that's actually like a little superpower people don't think about. And it works in romantic and non-romantic, but like how interested can you possibly get in someone? And it's up to you. It's your responsibility to generate interest. Yeah. So ask questions that you actually want to know the answers to. And often I'll be in conversations just randomly, and people really want to talk to me, and I'll be like bored out of my fucking mind because I'm like, I got shit to do. Like I don't really need to be in this conversation sometimes. And that sounds arrogant, and I'm sorry, but it happens a lot, especially in the service industry. So like if you own a business and like people really want to talk to the owner, and you have to be nice because they're customers, and you want to be nice, but you're also got other things on your mind, but also you're like locked in for this conversation for a little bit. So you're like, okay, how do I make this fun for me?
Yes.
And so I start asking questions that are like out of left field that I'm just like, I'm going to ask you what I want to know. And so I ask them really like interesting questions that I'm curious about. And then I generate interest in the situation.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'm locked in. I'll talk to you.
Right.
Situation. But on your end, what are questions that you don't want to be asked?
I don't want anything. Like for me, one of the things is like too sexual too fast. And that's saying something because I am a sexual person and I love sex. I love talking about sex. But you don't need to like ask me like, hey, do you have any fantasies?
Yep.
It's like we just met. Yep. So no, I have no fantasies that involve you.
Yeah.
You know, like or that
Other
I
than
want
you
you
going away.
Yeah. So I think that those I was just thinking about this. You know, if you're someone who you're like, man, yeah, I'm really good at texting, but I'm not so good in person. Like, it's really challenging for me. Awesome. If I met up with someone and they were sitting across from me and they were like, look, I get super nervous on dates, but I really want to get to know you. So I wrote down a few questions. I would find that really endearing. Mm-hmm. I would find it like they thought about it. They are interested. They're working to overcome something they struggle with. Like, that would be super endearing. And I have Googled, questions to ask on a date. When you're dating someone and you want to get to know them more, like, just look up some questions, find some interesting things that you want to know. So if you're like Aren and you can get it on the fly, it's a superpower and a gift, and you should be utilizing that. Call him, do coaching, use it. But if you're more of a normal person and you really struggle to know how to interact in that way, look it up and be honest and just say, like, hey, I'm super stoked to be here with you, or I'm super stoked to be chatting with you. Like, would you be like, can I ask you some fun questions? Like, just make it, be honest. I think that authenticity really goes a long way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's super, super important. And if you tell people, like, I'm really happy to be here, but I'm also bad at this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, at least we know that you're having fun.
Totally.
And so I think that's a really important thing to, like, express intent. Mm-hmm. I'd like to get to know you, but hey, look, I'm a bit nervous in this situation.
Yeah.
This is where we're talking about, like, some of the parts that were difficult in getting from, like, the friend zone area. Because I think a lot of guys and women are good at that small talk friend zone.
Yeah.
But then there's that barrier to expressing intent.
Yes.
So it's like, how do I get to the point of, look, we're friends, but I also like you. Mm-hmm. Like, I like you like that. Like,
check yes or no.
Yeah. Slide the little, like, and that's the most nerve-wracking part. It's scary because you got to cross a bridge of, like, look, like, yeah, we were cool being friends, but, like, do you like me like I like you? Mm-hmm. And so that's a difficult part. What are some of the hints that you leave to let people know that you're more interested in them than just friend vibes?
I think, like, the obvious ones are, I'm a very sexual person, so this is going to vary based on the person. But, like, for me, it's like, if I make kind of a joke about an innuendo of some kind, that's generally, like, a pretty good sign.
Okay.
If you're not, like, waiting for hours or days for me to reply, that's probably a good sign that I'm interested.
Replies,
right.
You're eating a lot of bananas.
I'm sending you lollipop photos. Yeah,
sure.
Links to my OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding.
but
honestly,
you're making flirtatiously, like, you're hinting at sexual things or
what it all boils
things.
down to is you're going to overthink this because when you're interested in someone else, you get in your head, you overthink things.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is you have to be okay with rejection.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I think that's one of the things about being an entrepreneur is that you get so used to, like, failing and falling on your face that things like somebody saying, like, I'm not really interested is like, oh yeah, another one today. To me, it's not as big of a deal. Again, I'm a woman speaking, but I do see it as, like, the worst case scenario is they're going to say no, and then you're going to carry on with the rest of your life. I have one client who was really amazing. He was so dedicated to making a change. He had a stutter for a long time. He was really shy around women, had been on less than a handful of dates in his whole life, and he was just ready to make the change. So his goal was to speak to a woman he didn't know every day for a year, and he did. Every single day. Mm-hmm. And some days it was like asking a girl for her phone number, and he's like, I got rejected more times than you can possibly imagine. He's like, but now I'm so used to rejection, I don't care.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm interested and they're interested, I'm not worried about asking, like, hey, like, can I get your number? I'd love to chat more.
Yeah.
He's like, because I've already been told no hundreds of times, you know?
Sure. That's totally not my style. Because I think I still would feel like rejection hurt when I was a kid. Like, it sucked. So I was like, well, that's not the style I go for. I don't usually express interest in somebody unless I have already, like, maybe low key, like, hinted and then seen that there's a connection back. Okay, they like my jokes. They think I'm funny.
Yeah.
Okay, then it could be like there's a route there.
Yeah.
It's usually like a very indirect way. And I think this is better for men. Definitely not leaving sexual innuendo. Like, it's not, because that's a quick misfire. Like, for a guy, that will paint you in a bad box.
Yeah.
A friend of mine that I had introduced you to in Vancouver did this, and he fucked things up really bad. I definitely won't name his name, but I introduced him to one of my gal pals who's an absolute smoke show. She's drop dead gorgeous, right? And he's quite successful. And so I was like, well, okay, this guy's like a dental surgeon, and he's doing quite well. He's well off, and she's gorgeous and she's well to do, like, they would be great together. And I had invited her to a party, and he was like, "Who the fuck is that?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's my homie. She's the bomb. She's great, like a sister to me." He's like, "Can you link us?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I'll link you." So I talked him up to her, and was like, "Yo, my homie's doing it. He's filthy rich. He's super intelligent. He's really dedicated to kind, good guy.
Great guy.
And she's like, "Okay, I'm interested. If you think he's cool, Aaron, like I'll go on a date with him." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah." I'm like, "Bro, I got you a date with this like smoke show. Like, very awesome. Right? She's an amazing human." And the first date, I think, went pretty damn good because he was on his best behavior and it was good. And like he pulled out all the stops. Like he really went a little bit over the top, but he did really well. So she was like, "Okay, he's a bit much, but cool." And then the second date, he was trying to like push that, like, "I'm interested in you," sexual innuendo situation. Yeah. But he fucked it up so bad. And he was just like, pretty much asked her like, "How do you like to be fucked?" Like, yeah. Oh dear. Like pretty much in that way. Like, how do you like to have sex? What do you like when you have sex? Like, I think he was trying to just bring up the sexual conversation to get it in the realm of that. But that's a second date with someone who's like a bit more traditional. Yeah. It's not going to be like a hookup. No. Especially if you're looking for like a wifey or you're looking for a long-term relationship. Don't be bringing up like that talk as a male. No. I don't even know if it's a great idea as a female if you're looking for something longer term, unless it's already flirty. Like it's already.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you get that flirty banter, and someone says like, I don't know, like they say something that's like, "Oh, I don't know, use the word hard," or like something like that. Sure. And I'll send like a little emoji that's laughing. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, those are it doesn't have to be like, "Oh, hard, like you took it last night." Yeah. That's not okay.
Definitely not. I think the route would go to is like, firstly, friendship, like in the sense of like, "Oh, good, we both have a common interest. Like, great. Do you want to grab a coffee sometime? Or do you want to go to a meditation class or something?" So find like something cool to go have an experience together. Yes. So like once you got past the online part, it's going to go in person, or you meet in person and there's like a reason for you to hang out. That's not so, it could be a date, but maybe it's even a step before where it's agreed that this is a date. So it could just be like, "Hey, you want to grab a bite tomorrow? I know this good place." Yeah. And so it's lower pressure. So then even if they're not sure what they want out of the situation, you're not like facing this massive like rejection space. You can just hang out. And then when you hang out with them, cool, be funny. Like in the sense of like find common interests and be
Stay
yourself,
lighthearted.
Light. Keep it super light and just have fun. And I really think going through an experience together is super important. So like, sure, go for a walk and feed the geese or something, or like go to a class, go do a thing, so then you have something to talk about after it. Not especially movies. The movies work though; they really do work, especially if you're gonna go see like when we saw Deadpool Wolverine. Great, right? We talk about the opening dancing scene, hilarious, right? So it was great. But like, okay, cool. At least you can talk about it after. But I think movies kind of aren't so connective, so it's good to like be around each other talking. And something that's really good is like, if you're able to have a way for you to have minor physical touch, just like a little bit. So
like it's available there, so that if the chemistry is there, you can notice it. You can be aware.
And I'm talking so fucking subtle that like you're sitting beside each other, that your knees touch.
Yes.
Like so then there's body language cues that like friend cues, cool, great. I mean, like we're all huggy out here, but it's not like we like sit and cuddle or sit so close to each other. We're homies, so you're like, get fucking go on your side, man. It's different. Totally. But then if you're in a romantic body language situation, you're like slightly in each other's field, like you're in a little bit closer. And so that's like, okay, you can see how that feels. And often this is really good information for me, is like, how do I actually feel in their field?
Yes.
How does my nervous system react to being that close to someone? And this is a good indication, because you don't know if you want them fully or not, because you might be around them, they're super hot, and you're like, great, the idea of them is amazing, and then you're around them and my nervous system's being like, this person sucks. Like it's
I can't relax, I can't calm down, I don't feel like I can be myself, I feel like I have to maintain a facade, all of these things.
Exactly. So I appreciate that if I'm around someone that makes me feel calm. And it's like, cool, do they make me feel calm? Can I calm myself around them? So use it as like your own test as well. And this is how I move through like friendships, business partners, in any situation, is like, how safe or calm or happy, how does my nervous system actually feel around the person? And that's like a good indicator, like, do I want to be around them more? Like, what are we supposed to do next? So like, okay, that's like my next filter, is like, how do we bounce off each other? And then when that's generating actually some chemistry, and then it's like, cool, you can go for like the hug, or like high school, like a hold a hand or something, like go slow. A hug that felt a little bit longer, like, okay, that's like the way I feel like to generate and show interest. And then talk about like, hey, when do we get to see each other again?
Yeah.
Like,
so I have a question for you. So say you're setting something up with a girl. Okay, actually 2 things. I want to back this up. So one of the things about body language is that sometimes on those like fucking alpha male or whatever about like how to get a girl, it's like, oh, if she's playing with her hair, that's a sign she's into you. I need to tell you, we just play with our hair sometimes. Men do it too when they have long hair. It's not just us. Like, it does not mean, like, these are not, like, I'll say, like, not subtle, right? Like, because if I'm not attracted to a man, him touching me, there's going to be a reaction, right? Like, if my knee bumps yours and I'm not interested, I'll pull my knee away. There's a movement. So don't overthink it, but also be aware, right? And try your best not to listen to these wild things. It's like, if she looks up and then looks down and then looks to the left, that means she's into you. Or if she plays with her hair every 10 seconds, or if she adjusts her jewelry, like, nah, man. It's like really obvious stuff that you are probably doing too. Because imagine, like, oh my gosh, I was like, imagine I was coming on to you, Aren. And like Aren would, I would like put my arm down next to him and Aren would be like, yeah, so.
But like, get the fuck off me. Creep. you know,
it would be really obvious.
100%. And so like that barrier of physical closeness hasn't been like established yet.
Yeah.
Perfect example is yesterday at my shop, I have a friend in from California and she's absolutely gorgeous. She's lovely. She's super, super sweet. Very, very, very beautiful. Yep. And just great energy. Like, she has great energy about her. Other than she's a vegan. But I'm just kidding. She's great. She's amazing. We love the vegans. I just bug her about it all the time. And then I have another homie of mine, a coaching client of mine that's here. And we're all just kind of hanging out because he came for some business advice. He's going to start something here. And I thought maybe they'd have chemistry because they're both good looking people, blah, blah, blah. But like, they just met. And she's a bit more of a reserved person. So this is especially for like introverts because she's sensitive. And like, her and I have been friends for a long time, so it's cool. We can be close. I can give her a hug and like, it's like we have that established platonic intimacy, right? Whereas he doesn't know her like that. And so like I think he was trying to flirt, but I didn't notice. She told me later. So she was like, your homeboy's a little touchy, hey? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, there's just a couple times where he like made contact. And I don't think it was inappropriate at all.
No, yeah.
But he was trying to establish that intimate range. Yeah. So he was running game. But I think she's sensitive and it was too soon for him to go that. So she actually mentioned it to me. Oh yeah, I think he was just a bit interested and he was a bit too touchy for me. Like, in the sense, he's probably just like, ha ha ha, like trying to make contact. And I'm like, okay, see, there's a perfect example of like when that, you didn't gauge it quite yet. You weren't there yet. So you needed to establish more of that banter zone of ask questions, find a common bond, create an inside joke, have some of that like actual banter to see if there is a connection there. And then I'd say before you establish physical contact, establish some sort of like, should we go do something? Like, would you want to get a coffee with me? Some sort of like a mutual agreement that we would want to do something together. So like, would we be okay alone together?
Right.
That kind of situation. And then maybe the touchiness. So I think that's like kind of the route. You don't want to skip some steps.
Exactly.
Because you can blow the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's a great dude. Epic dude. But I think it was a bit too quick. And I think some people think like, well, if you're just hot enough, it works, which sure, I'm sure there's other situations, but I think also it's a bit like,
but also, you know, like no matter how hot a guy is, if he's coming on too fast, you might go along with it, but the whole time your nervous system can't relax.
Yeah.
Like, you're stressed about like, how fast is this going to go? And am I going to be ready? Am I like, it doesn't feel good.
I think it's the same situation in the opposite way, which most guys would be like, are you fucking kidding me? If some hot chick's like all over me right away, or like, what are you talking about? Sure, in the club or something. Like, if your intention is just to get laid, great. You're like, done. Yeah. But if you're looking for a partner, a girlfriend, or something, connection, just a little bit deeper than just strictly dickly, okay, you might be like, you might like, if I've had that where like girls were super forward with me very quickly, I'm like, yo, you don't know me like that. Like, and they're beautiful. But it could be, it cheapens the situation for me. And my nervous system is like, that's gross. How many other guys do you do this with? And that's like the first thing that comes to my head is like, you just like this with everybody. If you're just like, all over the place, I'm like, like I don't like that. I want a little challenge. You know? I want there to be some creation of chemistry and bond there. And I think women want the same thing. So like, that's where I feel like going through an experience together to then create polarities, to create common bonds, and then to create that intention of interest, and then moving forward with it to like establish the interest and then nurture the interest. So I think like there's levels to this shit.
So I have a question. Say you've planned an event and I'm really interested about this. So say you've planned, like there's a meditation on Tuesday night. You super love it. You're like, hey, you want to come with me? It starts at 6. And she's like, yeah, I'm totally in. And then maybe half an hour before, you're like, hey, I'm just getting ready to go. See you soon? ? She's like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm busy.
Ooh.
Right? So where do you take it from there? Because I have two thoughts on this. One is you should do the things that you love to do, regardless of whether you have anybody with you or not. I think this is a big, like, people miss out on so much of life because they're waiting for their person or they're waiting to do it with somebody. Just do it. Mm-hmm. But in this circumstance, like, what do you do? Like, how do you respond to that? Because it doesn't necessarily mean she's not interested, but how do you know?
30 minutes before I'm busy and it was agreed to do something, that's like, fuck off. That's not cool.
Yeah.
That's not like that. I wouldn't be cool with that because it's like, you're not respecting my time. They'd have to really want to make it up to me because somebody who just ghosts me 30 minutes before and says I'm not busy doesn't give a shit about your priorities and like doesn't care about your time. You don't want to be chasing somebody like that. Like that's just.
So what if they message you the next day and they're like, hey, how was that meditation?
I'd be like, it was dope. I got enlightened and like, fuck you, bitch. No. I'd probably be a little bit short with them though. I'd be like, it was great.
Yeah.
Okay. In that situation, but like begging someone then like you should come to the next one. Yeah. I would let the ball's in their court after something like that.
So what about like a dinner date? So say you have Tuesday or Friday night dinner planned, and then Friday morning you're like, hey, cool, pick you up 4:30, or do you want me to grab you an Uber? And they're like, yeah, sorry, something's come up with work. I'm gonna be working late, so I don't think it's gonna work tonight.
That's a lot more understandable.
So, but where does it go from there?
And also, I want to back it up to the last situation also. So if she flakes on me 30 minutes before, I want to steel man the argument because some women want a persistent person. Like they want somebody who's a bit more persistent. And that is not usually my style. If I'm going to get like, okay, they're like, I couldn't do it. I'd be like, okay. And then I'd be like, let me know if you want. And then I put the ball in the court, let me know if you want to reschedule. And then I'll just leave it in that sense and be friendly, but I'm not going to press.
Yeah.
But so I think that's like a good way to do it. But then maybe some women want the guy to actually ask a few times. Maybe if you think she's worth it, okay, continue to show interest. But there's got to be a line where you're like, I'm not going to go past this line. I got to respect myself. But I had to work late, valid excuse. Where do you go from there is like, no problem. When are you free? And like put the ball in the court.
Yes.
So when are you free? Yeah. Would you like to do this, this, or this? And like give an option of plans specifically, not just like, do you want to hang out sometime? It's like, you want to make some pasta on Thursday?
Yeah.
And so it's like a bit more specific in that. Or do you want to go see Deadpool Wolverine? Like, I want to see that movie. Do you want to go see it with me?
Yeah.
And
obviously drop them if they say no.
Yeah, you're like, you suck.
We have nothing in common.
It's super important to actually like it's funny with my friend in the vegan thing because it's like, well, I don't think I'd give up meat. Like I really love eating grass-fed steaks and I love my vegan friends, but I don't think I could date one that wouldn't let me. And my friend talked about this because she's absolutely gorgeous, spiritual, sweet, amazing human. But like she wouldn't date a non-vegan and I wouldn't date a vegan who wouldn't date a non-vegan. Yeah. So it's like there's no way it would ever work between us. Yeah. But we have a lot of love and respect for each other. Yeah. So like it's kind of cool because we're both like I'll try to help her find somebody, kind of thing. Like we joke around about it a lot. And she's just like she has those like those boundaries up. And so it's like I guess then you got to be a little bit more what's the word for it? You got to really persist a bit deeper, in that situation. But back to the situation, if you're gonna get, flaked on and you're wanting to then press and make a little bit more plans, I mean, where's the line for you? How have you flaked on guys like this and they persisted? And were you happy that they did? Like, how do you want to be chased?
So it's tough with the persistent thing because I also want a man to hold me to a standard. To me, that's like, I hate these like high value, but like, a man who's confident and knows his worth is not going to let me treat him like casually. He's going to expect me to treat him a certain way. Yeah. So if I flake out, whether it's for a good reason or for something else, I expect him to hold me to a standard and be like, hey, not cool. It's 30 minutes before this meditation. You said you were coming. I understand something's come up. Ball's in your court. I'm going to the meditation. Yeah. And then I feel like, okay, if I do want to pursue something with him, I need to step up my game here, right? And I actually really like that. Yeah. And the same in this situation, you know, I'm sorry I have to work late. If this is genuine, if I'm sharing, I do want him to come back and say, well, how about pasta on Thursday night?
Yeah.
And then if I'm still flaky and vague, it probably means I'm not that interested.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also expect him to hold his worth. And if I'm like, I'm not sure I'll get back to you, that he doesn't pester me like the next day, like, hey, did you find out about Thursday?
Yeah.
Hey, are you available? Don't let me treat you like that. Like, don't let me walk all over you, because especially, well, again, this is very personal. It's like strong women, like, you give us an inch, we take a mile. So you need to have boundaries. And it's so sexy to us if someone has boundaries. If I know I can't walk all over you, if you're kind to me, but you're not a pushover, right? I think that, and then, you know, as a man, you know that like, this is someone who values you, who can see your worth, who is going to talk highly of you, who's going to think highly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it really is a good dynamic, especially for the demographic that we're talking about, people who are invested in their personal development, who do want to be this version of themselves that is bringing goodness into the world, right? You want a partner who respects you, and vice versa, right?
Definitely. What brought up for me is like, what's the wrong way to get that rejection message, or like how to respond to it? So if you're like, yeah, hey, look, I can't make it. It was 30 minutes before. Have you had guys react to that in a way like, yes, they're setting a boundary, but they did it in such a way that you're like, hey, fuck off then. Like, you know what I mean? So like,
I mean, like, I can't say like an example comes to mind, but for sure, like that passive aggressive does not work for me, man.
That's little dick energy.
Yeah, it is.
It is though. It's like,
it really
you don't need to be like, oh, you're to treat me like that then?
Yeah.
Like, I don't do
That's fine. You have something more important 30 minutes before a meditation.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time.
Like that kind of shit.
Like, what? It's like, yeah, it's okay that enlightenment isn't important to you or personal development doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that was a joke what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like, it's okay that I don't matter to you.
Yeah,
like, some
like
shit
that
like
kind of
that.
stuff that
You're
you're just like, stop it.
Like, you don't need to be like that.
No.
Like, don't go there. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So like, don't go into that passive aggressive bitchy space.
No.
Be like, all good, that sucks, I want it to go, let me know if you want to hang out again.
Yep.
And like leave it at that. And then don't pester. And that's what I do. I'll just like, all right, I'll just go on with my life.
Yeah.
And like do other stuff, you know, and I won't like hung up on that, because I think if people see that like you're hung up on that, but you're really butthurt about it, it doesn't bring connection in.
Yeah. And your energy comes down, right? Because it's that sense of like, I need you in order for my life to be good. It's like, actually, you have a great life.
Yep.
And then I'm attracted to that energy. I'm attracted to that, that you're putting out there. So I think that's really important. So I want to take it to the next level. So we've gone on a date, not you and I, dear God.
Hypothetical people we're talking about. Yeah.
We've gone on a date. There's been some sort of establishment, whether it's like a casual touch or, you know, you feel good around them.
Yeah.
You're going to take them out. So then the next question is like, how are you crossing over from being friends? I love that this is your podcast and I'm like, so Aren.
Yeah. No, it's good. It was back and forth.
How do you take it to the next level? Like what do you as a guy see is, okay, so I'm interested. We've been on a few dates. It seems like she's interested. I'm getting the signs. How do you take it there? How do you know when it's time to go into the next phase?
I mean, it's all about the body language and those little subtle cues. So like those little touch cues really matter. So if there's a little bit of touch happening and it's like, okay, we're comfortable with that little bit of touch, great. And so like drop a couple more of those and then to see how you guys react to that.
Yeah.
And that's important. Sometimes you'll see like, I've been on a date with Karina and it was like, okay, we hugged and it was like the first time that we like actually hung out where we were like alone and hung out. Yeah. And she didn't even know it was a date kind of situation. Yeah. Until I hugged her and I held it for a little bit longer. And she was like, show me later. She's like, oh, he likes me.
Oh, that's so cute.
So it was like, okay. Like, you know, and she had brought me a little gift. So it was like, so I could there was something there, but like, oh, okay. She didn't know where I stood with it because I was being very non-threatening just to like hang out and keep it chill. And that little extra touch, but I knew it wasn't the right time for a kiss, but based on her body language, where I knew like, oh, like, she's nervous. It's not the right time. That would be like a little forward. Yeah. And if it was a little forward with someone who's traditional, like that wouldn't be the right vibe. Yeah. You know, that wouldn't be cool. Whereas in the past, okay, getting through a little, going on a nice little date together, having like, okay, beautiful view, had a little cuddle. It's like, okay, the little cuddle's established. Yeah. I'm going for that fucking kiss. I'm gonna go for it. You know, like it's like you already had the cuddle, so go for the kiss in that situation.
And I would say like this is gonna be controversial. I already know it's gonna be. But say you're close, right? And you're feeling like, God, I want to kiss her. saying something like, I really want to kiss you right now, when you're very, very close, to me is like very arousing. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to kiss you right now, like gets me so excited. And I feel like you've really made it clear.
Yeah.
And if by some wild chance I'm not in that headspace, that's my opportunity. I'm not going to freak out, but I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I actually don't. And then it's like you're not leaning in and I'm pulling away. And now we've got this awkward situation.
That's so interesting because I've literally never said that to a girl because
Really?
I'm like, I think it's a bit like it would be clunky for me, I feel like, but I get
it has to
it's
be
interesting
when
where it's coming from you. Yeah.
You know, like
not from across the room. I want to kiss you right now. Yeah.
Not like we're at dinner and you're not going.
Hold on,
to
I'm gonna go
kiss me.
take a shit, but I want to kiss you later. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. Excuse me. No, obviously not. Sorry, guys. That's ridiculous. But okay. So I get how that is arousing because you're like the elephant in the room. You're bringing it up, so the conversation has happened. So I do understand that point of it because I think that's kind of what our friend that we were talking about was trying to do.
Yeah,
he was trying to bring up how do you like to have sex because he wanted to bring up the topic so there could be it in our mind and the arousal of it. So like I understand that, and I just think that was never my go-to to be like I really want to kiss you right now.
Yeah.
It would be more so subtle touching cues.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're cuddling. Okay, now I can go in for the kiss.
I definitely recently was out with a guy. And we just had such a good time together, like spent quite a bit of time and we were having a really good time. And we're sitting across the table and he made some sort of comment about kissing. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, why haven't we kissed? And he was like, I don't know. I've been asking myself that same question. And it was such a cute little like back and forth. And like, again, I really think authenticity, like being honest, it's scary, but it's so much... It creates such a special connection with someone. Yeah. You know? Like,
yeah. But I think you're a special case for this, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you're so much more liberated in that space.
Yeah.
It's like it's what you do. So talking about this stuff is so easy for you to like, why haven't we kissed right now? But I think a million people I know would be like, oh, like I wouldn't bring that up. Like that's an edge. That's a big edge, right? So traditional people like, they'd get really like about it, right?
Yeah. I guess for me it's like I was really interested. Yeah. You know, like I feel like other girls would have this. So I think also like learning to communicate about your desires and like know your desires. It's not I didn't ask him to take me back and fuck him at his place. Like that's not what I was asking. I just wanted to know why we hadn't kissed, you know?
I think it's fucking cool to say it though. Like I appreciate that sentiment and I think that's really awesome. And I think talking about the intimacy or what you want, especially when it's communicated from a feminine that is done in a tactful way is really, really awesome. Like that's takes the pressure off her. Like it's really amazing. So it's like, that's great. But it's done in a way that's not cheap is super important. Because I think that's like, what's the difference between dating long-term or it's a fling?
Totally.
And I really think guys are quick to sort. And women are too, of course.
Yes,
is this going to be, you know, the father of my kids or is it some fuckboy? And that line can be quite thin, especially that line at the start is very, very difficult to discern. So I think it's very important for like, what do I want out of this situation? And then how do I want to be perceived? And I don't think it's like a song and dance. So, but I do think we got to be tactful. Like you can't be asking a girl that you might want to like, hey, you're looking for a marriage. How do you like to be fucked? Like it's like,
no.
Hey, whoa, bro.
No.
Like that's not okay
like,
here.
Bring it back.
Treat her like it's going to be your future wife.
But I think it's also like it's nerves, but it's also like this confidence in yourself, right? Like, so I can imagine this type of conversation with someone and I can imagine someone saying like, you know, when I'm dating with someone, I really like to take my time. I don't like anything to be rushed. I've said that before. You know, I really like the time. I really like the time before you have sex with someone because especially if I view this person as a long-term partner, there's only a finite amount of time that we get to build up that sexual chemistry before I don't know what you're like in bed. You don't know what I'm like in bed. There's that like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I love that time. That energy is super fun. And I am more than happy, again, maybe a little bit different, but I highly recommend this for women to be like open about it. Be like, I really love this time of dating where you're just getting to know someone and you're doing these fun things, but there's that like getting to know you part. I feel like too many times we just jump from like, hey, let's go on a first date to let's Netflix and chill for the next 6 weekends. You know?
Totally. And I totally agree with you because that's the part where flirting is the most fun.
Yes.
That's the peak flirting fun time where you can kind of get to know someone, but also when the flirting I think has the most weight to it because it's like the most giddy flirt. So your flirt lands and the person like on the other end, right? Like somebody likes me, I like that.
Smiling at your phone.
Yeah. And I think that's like where the arousal from the flirting is amplified the most. And then once it's at Netflix and chill time, it's not really like it becomes into a routine.
Yes.
So I think
it's much harder to keep that energy after you've diffused it through. Releasing, right? And it's not that you won't rebuild it back up because you absolutely can. There are lots and lots of ways that that's done. But yeah, once you've crossed over, so really enjoy that time.
I think we got to be tactful about it as well because in this, like I was saying, it's hard to date in Bali, but I think this is just a world thing now in our generation that there's so much choice out there. There's so much access through dating apps, through social media that like there's hella access. So what's the competition level like? So you have to keep the banter up tight and you have to keep the banter up strong and you got to get good at the banter game. So guys who aren't good at banter, they're not good at the flirting. It's like, guys, you got to step up the flirt game, men and women, because it's so easy to go elsewhere. And so you got to be memorable. You got to, I think also I be weird in a way that I'm going to be my
authentic weirdness.
Yeah, I'm going to be my weird self, right? And so it was like, okay, with Corinne, she was at the supermarket when we first started seeing each other. And it was like, I didn't know if she was vegan or not. And she didn't know if I was vegan or not. This is a funny topic because it's like, it's
where you live.
Yeah, it's like we live in Ubud, right? So it's like, And she goes, like, are you vegan? And I told her, I was hungry, I was gonna order something. And she's like, wait, are you vegan? I'm at the supermarket kind of thing. And I was like, no, I'm so hungry I'd literally eat a vegan person right now. Like, or I said like, if I had to, I would literally eat a vegan person. It was like a joke, obviously, right?
Yes.
And she said she like almost dropped all her stuff because she was laughing out loud alone in the supermarket. So I knew the joke landed and I was like, thank God, because I could have gone either way. It could have been horrible.
Our friends Dylan and Magda, who recently got married, I love how Dylan is his weird self with her. And she's so like sweet and lovely, but she loves it about him. You know? And so they're very different, but he's his genuine self with her. And he's always been that way.
His vows.
Yes.
Right? I totally know where you brought this up because that's what he said in the vows is you don't try to change me.
Yes.
And he can sit around and play video games. He can sit around and watch his stupid fucking YouTube stuff that he watches. Our boy Dylan watches people make desks. Like, you know what I mean? Like he'll watch a person fully make a desk, like from chop the tree down, fucking sand the wood, put the desk and then put the glazing. And it's like a 4-hour thing or at least like a 30-minute thing of like watching a desk. And then I'll come over, I'm going to his house tonight and I'll come over and I'll kind of be like, how's the desk gonna turn out? And you get into it and you're like, why the fuck am I watching a desk being built, right? Or a shed. We watched a shed being built for like an hour once. It calms him, he says, right? So anyways, that's weird, right? That's just like, you never expect this like world-class.
Be your authentic weird self. And
exactly.
Honestly, like if the girl had been like, what the hell is wrong with you about the eating a vegan person? Then like, he knows it's not meant to be. And like, of course it would hurt you and you'd feel like a little bit, well, you'd be a little bit hurt if she was like, what the hell's wrong with you?
I'd be like, fuck that. Because if it's good for me at this point in my life, it'd be just good information. I wouldn't waste my time. So if someone didn't find that funny, I'd be like, they suck, and I would like go on with my life. You know what I mean? Like it's just like because that's why I think you should be an acceptable level of weird when you're in that flirting process to see if someone gets your jokes. Not so weird that you're to turn people off. Like make sure you establish.
Don't scare people.
Yeah, exactly. Like establish and don't be AJ. You know, like our boy AJ is horrible. But sorry, back to the
again. We also love him.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. So then if you're in the acceptable level of there's enough rapport built that you can try some risky jokes. I think it's a good thing in my case. But I think you got to be tactful about what you're putting out there.
Absolutely.
So you got to make sure like this person can get it or not. So I like ease into it, and that's how it happened with Corinne. Was like I started sending her memes, and I was sending her like low key memes to start. So they were like like ones I might send my mom. So we're starting PG as fuck, right? And then it started getting to the level of like, okay, ones I would send like Gary, another one of our buddies. And Gary sends like ones of like ducks or something, or dolphins hitting a person. Like PG, but kind of funny. You know, like they're like, okay, they're like, dad joke style. And then we got to like the level of like AJ or us, and they're like horrible. Like we usually send each other sex themed ones that are fun, like terrible sex ones that are funny, right? and then AJ's is like,
AJ, I don't even know where he finds them.
They're fucked. Now my algorithm matches his. It's horrible.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. So like, but like I edged it up to see how far I could take it with her, to see where is her like her level of humor at. And it turned out, okay, she likes my dark jokes. She doesn't quite make them all the time, but she'll laugh at them. I'm like, great.
And on the receiving end of that, I've gotten like memes or reels or whatever. And at first you're like, yeah, this is fun. And then they get to a level and you're like, Matt, this is a waste of my time. I'm not really interested in watching this. And the fact that you watch this and send it to me clearly indicates that we are not compatible.
Totally.
So I'm not saying only send memes, but I am saying that like as a receiver of that, like it kind of goes.
Memes and music.
Yeah, music is such a good one.
And this, I think, is a skillful way to flirt. In modern, we're talking about modern flirting today, right? So I feel like if you're trying to run some game and you'd be like, yo, check out this song I like. And if you can show them a dope song that they don't know.
But not like some like, I love you. No. You're the most beautiful. Like, don't do. Don't, I mean, unless cheese is your game. Like, some guys rock the cheese, I have to say.
Don't be sending them, like, All for One or fucking, you know, what are those, like, cheesy, like, 90s or 2000s, like, love songs? Like, no. Like, something cool. Like, something that maybe ask them what they like first and then send them something around they like what you like. And so I think, like, memes and music really works.
Great ones. And book recommendations.
Book recommendations, great.
Totally.
You're finding common bonds. You're showing what you like. You're seeing what they like. You're finding a way for them to like it, especially if you show them something dope that you can enjoy together. New restaurant. So that's like the next stage is like if they like the same food and you take them somewhere fire, like an awesome dining experience. And I'm good at food. Like I do that well. I know the good restaurants and what to order. I always take you guys to like, you gotta try this thing at this place. And I love doing that. It makes me super happy because when I watch you eat that thing at that place, you're like, yo, I'm like, I know, right? And
I love that.
Right? It's fun. It's really like, it's fun to do that. So I know you're going to enjoy it. And then we can geek out about it later. And then we can be like, you'll message me later and be like, yo, I'm craving that thing.
Yeah.
Like, can we go back to Pica? I really want to get those empanadas at Pica. And I'll be like, I know they're sick, right? Let's go. So like that, I think it's a great way to flirt. So like using these little tools in order to flirt. And then also asking the questions there. So then we got to flirting. We got to the first kiss. Wait. And it depends. First kiss, but then I want to see like, okay, how many dates is it going to take for, you know, the home run? What's that? The home run. Yeah. What's
We're so North American.
You know,
baseball analogy for the win.
How long does it take for the moose to get in the igloo, eh? Some fucking Canadian sex thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
Yeah, good. You know what? We're just like talking about all our mutual friends, but I feel like people who listen to your podcast probably have some exposure to these people. But our friend Sash, him and I joke, like it is an ongoing conversation whether having sex on the first date disqualifies you from long-term partnership.
Very interesting topic.
And Sash will say it absolutely does.
Okay.
And I get like
I know you're
riled up.
Yeah, you're like, let's fuck in the bathroom, Johnny.
The thing is like I'm not, because like I said, like over the last couple of years especially, I really love that build up. I love it. I don't want to hook up too fast because I love that playful sexual energy. I want to keep it for as long as possible. Great. That being said, like I don't think whether I choose to do it the first date, the third date, the eighth date, like whenever it feels like it's right, that's when I want to do it. You know, there's no third date, now we're going to. Although I have to tell you, I don't know what's wrong with me. This is some sort of social conditioning. I'm always convinced on the third day, if we haven't had sex, they're going to try to have sex. And I can sometimes get like awkward as fuck. Wow. Because I can be like, hey, I'm really excited to see you tonight, but I don't want to have sex. Like I make it weird because I'm like I feel this weird pressure that I'm like, oh, we're going on the third date, you know? And like guys often are be like, why are you so weird? You were normal and now you're weird.
That's so
there's
funny.
Something about the third date every single time. Third date, I always just like get panicked in my head that I'm like, oh my gosh.
So are you starting to like pick the third dates to be like outside of the sexual realm? So it's like, let's go dolphin fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Dolphin fishing. Dolphin diving. Sorry, it's not fucking Japan or something. My bad. Way to kill a boner by harpooning a dolphin. Like, fuck's sakes. I'm so sorry about that. And it sucks as dolphins have orgies. Like, dolphins are the most sexual animals in the sea. Yeah, they have recreational sex. Way to kill their boner. Jesus. Sorry about that. So that third date then comes in. I think guys would take that as either challenge accepted or like, fuck, you know, so we're like, okay, we're going somewhere cheap. You know, like how do guys take this for you?
Like, honestly, most of them, like, cause I get so weird and awkward. And, like, clearly there's something I need to work on there. Sure. But most guys that I'm seeing are quite confident people. You have to be quite confident to make it to date 3 with me.
Yeah, of course.
And so usually if I'm making it weird, they'll kind of be like, hey, literally no one brought up sex except for you. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
And then I can relax and just enjoy the
this
experience.
Group chat wasn't the right place to say that. the right place to say that. It's like you're in the community group chat of.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I think that there's like this established of like when you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Even like more than the first kiss, like don't rush it. You know, like if the first kiss is like you lean in, it's a nice kiss, and then you pull away.
Yeah.
Don't feel like just because it was good and she was receptive, you need to go for more. Leave us wanting more. You know, that like craving and desire is so sexy.
Yeah.
And so don't rush. And also don't feel like there's an expectation, says the girl who thinks there's an expectation on the third date. But like, don't feel like there's an expectation. It takes as long as it takes. And that can be your second date, you know, because some people have these like marathon dates. Like we have friends who went out on like a Friday night and then stayed up all night talking. And then Saturday they, you know, went back to their respective houses and then got back together Saturday night, hung out all night, and then spent all day Sunday chatting, you know, and it's like, was that one date? Was that 2 dates?
Yeah.
Like when can he go for the, you know, it's really personal, I think.
I think if you spent an entire waking weekend together, you could probably fuck by the end of it. but like, okay, it's a good question though, because I do think I align a bit more on Sasha's side of like, it depends how it goes down.
Yeah.
Of course, like context is everything. And I don't think the depth of connection is time related. So if it was a really deep depth of connection and it happened quick, it could just be a result of really strong chemistry.
Yeah.
But I also think waiting it out is a good thing in this day and age. I mean, it's harder and harder now. Like it's just like we're in the world of instant messaging, instant noodles, instant everything. So it's just like everything's so fast straight away. And I believe the virtues of waiting it out have been eroded by songs like Wet Ass Pussy and stuff like that. Like it's just like it's so
true.
blatantly in your face, like be a whore. It's just it's so blatant right now. So I feel like that it's losing its mystique to wait. But I think if a girl carries herself in the right way and makes you wait, incredible. Like I think it's a good thing.
This is where my issue is with Sash too. It's like I don't want to have to make a man wait.
Yeah,
so
no.
If he is making the moves and like we're in an incredible energy together, and he's like, I'm generally not pushy when it comes to sex. Like I like to be led in that direction. So if somebody's leading me in that direction, I don't like to have to be like, hey, no, it's our first date. You're not going to respect me if I'm like, nah, man, if we're going into this together, you're as guilty as I am. I'm not going to force you to not have sex with me because I want you to respect me. I feel like that's a real interesting head game. So for me, it's like, you know, if you get into a moment and you're not ready, it's fine to say like, hey, I'm so into you, but I'm just not ready for it right now. But not, I don't want to have sex with you because you're not going to respect me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's really nuanced when it gets into that area.
I think I've had those responses, and because guys are going to try. Like, we're just going to try. We're a fucking cruise missile. We just go forward. Like, it's difficult for men to be like, I'm not going to try because I want us to not move so fast. Like, it's not really a guy thing. We're just like biologically wired to want to ejaculate into people. So it's just how it goes. Whereas, like, I believe it's great when a woman's like, let's slow down, but I think it's important for the guy to provide context. Like I think it's good for the woman to ask, like, wait, what's your intentions, or what are you looking for right now? At least,
well, there's a whole pre-sex conversation that I like. Somebody was like, that sounds so awkward. I've never found it to be awkward. I've never had a man be like, now I'm not going to have sex with you. But I like to have it out there in the open. It's like, you know, do you know, like we've been on a few dates, right? And it's like seeming like it's going to go in that direction, right? So I'm like, hey, are you dating other people? Yeah. You know? Great. And this is generally how this goes for me. Are you dating other people? The guy says no. Then you say, is there anyone that thinks that they're dating you? Ooh. And they often are like, well, there's this thing with it. And then that's like a messy situation that you back away from. This has happened to me so many times. Trapdoor
question. That's like a loophole liability question. That's smart.
It's so good because I don't want to be in that drama.
Sure.
Men will often feel comfortable saying they're not dating anyone. But if you say, does someone think they're dating you? They'll often be like, well, yeah, there's somebody, you know. So to me, like that's kind of a good question to ask. And then something around the like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. You know, like, I'm super into you. Like, I kind of like, I think there might be some potential here. Like, or however you want to state it, establish the fact that you're interested in more, right? And I know that men lie for sex. I know that, but so do women. Women lie for sex. So all you can do is show up with your integrity and say like, I got to be honest, I'm having a great time, but I don't see anything long-term, but it doesn't mean that this can't be fun, you know? And honestly, a man's never told me no from that. He's not like, no, I wanted you to be my wife, you know? And then reverse, like, hey, I'm really interested, you know, I think there's something long-term here and I'm super into exploring more. And they're like, actually, this isn't like, I'm not in that place in my life right now. It's like, okay, now you know. Right? If you continue to have sex with this person, they're not looking for long term. So you need to readjust your expectations. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So again, like, of course somebody could lie to you, but your only resource is your own integrity. Yeah. So show up in integrity, be honest, check in, and then when you move forward, like at least it's out on the table, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important in that sense. So if sex happens at an appropriate time or it happens too soon, what are the differences in how the guy treats you?
What do you mean?
Like if it happens at the right time, does it establish usually a dating? Like it's going to go further, or have you had it happen too soon and then the guy just like doesn't respect you? Like, is there?
I mean, I don't know. I assume probably it's happened too soon and somebody didn't respect me afterwards. Okay, I don't think that they mentioned that to me. No, it's definitely happened where it's been too soon. And then afterwards I realized like, oh shit, like they were actually just in for a hookup. But that's when I started to like be straight up about this question. I'll never forget this guy forever ago. God, he like picked me up for our first date, like super solid, like country boy. His handshake is his word, like down to earth, lovely human, takes me for dinner, pays the bill, drops me off at the door, doesn't try anything. Next date, we're on date 3, right? And I know what's coming on date 3. And I say something along the lines of, man, these last couple of dates have been so fun. I'm really interested in what can be here. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry you got the wrong idea. I just want to hook up.
Wow.
We were on date 3. You picked me up and dropped me off at my door. That is a lot of work. You could have just said, hey, DTF. Yeah. And I probably would have said yes.
Damn.
So it's really important.
All the gas money he wasted.
True, he had a huge truck too, and I lived downtown. Anyway, I just think like establishing that early is really good. It's for all of us. And then as far as it being too soon, it's like the transition you generally see is that men will like invite you over to hang out. You know, so if you guys hooked up, then the next time he wants to hang out, he wants to do it at his place at night.
For sure.
You know?
Definitely.
And that's your immediate indication. He just wants hookups. Right? And if that's what you want, go for it. But if it's not what you want, you need to be clear. You know, don't do the hookup and expect a different result. It's silly.
And I think there's ways to do it, because it could definitely be like, how about you come over, I'll make some steaks. And it's like, okay, there's dinner, but it's still at the house. But at least you're being fed a nice meal.
I mean, but again, it comes down to like,
what do you want?
What do you want? You know?
Yeah. I think what happens next. So like, I think now it's quite common to have sex before actually dating someone exclusively. Like that's just the day and age. I believe a lot of people operate under. Not everybody listening, I get it, but like usually you'll go on a few dates and you'll have a cool experience and then something happens. And I think there's a lot of pressure as well as like, well, it depends how good that something was if you want to continue dating somebody. So you want to like there's a couple of different ways to look at it, but you want to make sure that the sex was good. Like there was good chemistry, because it's like, what if you like start dating somebody and they make you wait 3 months? This is a legitimate man fear. And they make you wait 3 months or something to that effect, and then you have like no sexual chemistry and the sex is just bad, and you're like, oh, I'm in a relationship now. like what do you kind of want to test drive the car before you like sign up for it like that. So I think that's like an important thing as well, because that's where I think a lot of guys think is like, well, if we're gonna fully be together and date, but obviously on other ends of it, I think what you're going to say is you can develop better sexual chemistry. Like you can work on that.
Well, sure you can, but I think there's a couple of things here. Like one, some women will say like, I'm not going to sleep with a guy until 3 months because I want to make sure he's got real intentions for me. The thing is like, we have to acknowledge we have more value than sex. And if we're with men who only see our value as sexual, that's a sign you're not with a great guy.
Totally.
You know, whether you wait 3 months, 6 months, 10 years, it doesn't matter. Your value is way beyond
100%.
whether you'll give it up or not, or how long it takes him to earn it. So I really think we need to, yes, own our sexuality, own our preferences, but get out of this mentality. It's got to be 3 dates. It's got to be 3 months. It's got to be 6 months. It's got to be till marriage. You decide what feels right for you based on what you want, not what you think he's going to think about you if you do this thing. So I really think that those things are really important.
100%.
As far as sexual chemistry, we were talking about this before we started recording about how the first time is really different. And I'm speaking from my perspective, but I think women in general, the first time is really different for guys and girls. Because you guys feel that pressure of like...
So much pressure. There's a lot of pressure to perform that first time.
Yeah.
Usually the second time you're like, aha, I fucking got the hang of this. Like you gotta see like how people's bodies react to each other and like, do they, don't pull your hair. You like this thing? Like, there's like, what do you like? How do you like it? Like I can't do my usual finishing move or like whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like you gotta like kind of like figure it out. And then like usually the second, third time you kind of got the hang of things. I feel like is generally how men work. That first time is a lot of pressure, I think, you know, and so I think it's different because you have less pressure to deal with. I think there's less performance anxiety, and I think it's
like I showed up. You're welcome. No,
exactly.
I'm just kidding. That's not true at all.
But in a way, we have a lot more.
I feel
pressure.
Men really do identify with their performance in the bedroom as part of their value
100%.
as a you know man.
Yeah.
And so yes, women absolutely we want to be good in the bedroom. We want to like be able to wow our partner. But I think the first time holds a lot more pressure for men than for women. I think we're more having the experience, feeling it out, seeing how the chemistry is, enjoying, you know, seeing if they're a giver, like how they interact with your body, that kind of thing. I can't say I've ever judged a guy for finishing quick the first time ever. Wow. I've never thought like, oh, he's going to be like this every time. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I'm hot. What can you say? No, but like it's true. And you know, in the same way I hope a man wouldn't judge me if I had a hard time orgasming the first time. Because I'm just getting to know you and this is my first time and I'm not ready to tell you all the little secrets that work for me. So I need a bit more time. So I definitely that first time it's like, okay. You know, and I do want to caveat there are like yellow flags, we'll say. Like there are obvious red flags, but then there are yellow flags, right? If someone isn't listening to you. You know, you say ouch and there's no adjustment on their part.
No.
That's a don't do it a second time, you know? Unless he didn't hear you, you know, extenuating circumstances, your face is in a pillow, you said ow, he couldn't hear you. But, you know, if he indicates like he's into sex that you're really not interested in exploring, be upfront. I'm not really interested in that, you know? Don't feel like you have to because he wants it. I think women will play that role quite often. You know?
Definitely. I think that's important. And make sure that there's that. We want to play on the same field. I could try some of those things, but actually I don't really do that. Like I don't really like the hitting and slapping stuff. I'm like, I don't really. I'm a trained fighter. I don't really want to hit you. I don't want to be hit. Like it's like that's not really the vibe for me here. You know, it's like that's. And I've had like exes originally be into that, and I was like, that's just not how I roll. And it's like, good, we talked about it, and then they were like, actually, I don't really like that anymore. It's just what my ex liked. I was like, okay, so there's like all these conditionings that I think like other people can put onto people and be like, well, doesn't everybody like this?
And then variations, because I definitely have had a few times where I'm like, yeah, I don't mind, you know, like a little slap here and there, and then like some guy hit me, and my ears were ringing, and I was seeing stars, and I was like, okay, I didn't know there were levels. Like I'm not at this level, you know. So I think also
we weren't even having sex. He just walked in and decked me. Well,
anyway,
horrible.
So I think that there's like these things, and I really want to advocate for women. Verbalize your pleasure in a loving way. So don't, like, if a guy's going down on you and you want him to change what he's doing, don't be like, you're doing it wrong. Like, hey, can you know, it's like, oh, it feels really good when you're licking towards the top, or, oh, I love when you're squeezing my legs like that. Give these positive encouragement, because in reverse, we'd also love that. Like, oh, I love that thing you do with your tongue, or, oh, I love the way you look when you're on your knees. Like, whatever it is that the man is enjoying, we're going to do more of when we get those positive enforcement. And I think women are quite harsh sometimes on men. And I think until I had my first sexual experience with a woman, I didn't understand how much variability.
It's all going on. Yeah.
And like each woman likes it differently, in the same way men like it differently, but it's a lot to explore.
Yeah.
And so be patient, be very positively encouraging.
So I love when you shut up and leave. It's amazing. That's a red card, ladies. Don't be attracted to that.
Don't go back for that.
Don't date assholes.
No.
Don't let guys be dicks. Really, don't
Hold
empower
the standard.
that. Seriously,
Hold the standard.
don't let guys do this asshole shit.
No.
I think it's really sexy and empowering when a woman holds like a standard of like I don't deal with that shit. Like I don't be treated like that.
Yeah.
It really increases their worth because you're like, well, she doesn't put up with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it's really important. So like that's like a great thing. The relationship thing, I think definitely if it's going to move forward for any relationship with me and friends or something like me or my friends, so they're saying is like, that sex has to be good. Like, because that's why I think in this day and age, it's like waiting it out for a really long time. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Not just because obviously you want to do the thing, but also it's just like, do we match? Do we vibe? But then because the sex is like one aspect of it, then that doesn't mean like what you said was absolutely perfect. Like a woman's worth isn't just sex. In my mind, it also is, do I feel that you're going to make my life better? Like in the sense of you're an asset to my world. You're not just a liability. Like you're funny. You find me funny. I can please you. You can please me. But also I feel you're caring and acts of service is like my number one love language. You know, that and touch, of course. So it's like, will they show up for me? And do they exhibit that?
Yeah.
Because there's girls who are hot and good at sex everywhere, just like there's dudes who are jacked and good at sex. That's so common. It's especially in Bali. So I guess we're spoiled here, but like
we are a little spoiled for choice.
Everybody can fuck. Like sex is everywhere. But will they make your life better? In the sense that the times that you aren't having sex, that you want to be around them.
Yes.
And like that's like really important to have that aspect. So that's why it's important, okay, to wait to build up that. Do you want to be around them without sex too? But sex is so fucking important that you also want to find out, does that work? So it's kind of like those two things I think really coincide for me, and I'm seeing a lot of people talk about that. So I don't think like the virtue signaling of like they made me wait 3 months. It's like
again, like if that's your thing, if you know that you tend to rush into relationships and like, I'm sorry, like I have for sure been blinded by good dick. You're just like, no, he's such a good person. He's an asshole actually, but he's got good dick. You know, so like, maybe that's where I'm at. I'm in this healing place and I'm like, I really don't trust myself. If we have sex too quick, I'm going to be all in. So I need to give this some time. But again, be upfront. Be like, look, it's just where I'm at right now. I need this.
It's really going to hear that side of the story though.
Again, like a religious reason, right? Like, if you have religious reasons for doing what you're doing, you want your partner at the very least to align with supporting your religious views. At the very most, you hope that they also hold those religious views. So I really want to make space for like, there are outside of this world, and we're talking about a group of people, you know, who having sex is like a key part of the relationship. So your value isn't in sex. The entire relationship can't be based on sex. So take your time.
It's part of my religion. You wear this gimp suit. It's like, like BDSM is a big part of my religion.
Why you gotta make it weird? You always think it's weird.
just ball gag is like, it's part of my religion. Can you imagine?
No.
I'm sure, is that some religion somewhere?
I hope not.
No, that's really great. I think covering like those things is awesome. And then when it moves to like, if you see that happening with someone, so like you see somebody at a cafe. So like we covered like kind of online dating stuff, and then obviously we jumped ahead to all the connection, bridging the gap, getting the touching going, getting into a sexual experience. I guess there's aftercare, but I also wanted to talk about like cold outreach in person.
I kind of like this because it's like I'm envisioning someone listening to this podcast in a cafe.
Yes.
And they see someone over there. They're like, they're super hot. They're like, ugh, well, I can see all those other things. I just don't know how to talk to them.
I think that's exactly what you should be doing right now. So if you're in a cafe listening to this podcast, look around for someone that you want to bang.
Stop it.
Okay.
Again, you're making it weird.
Someone that you would want to date and possibly wife up or husband up.
So someone that you're interested in.
So look around, stand up and look around. No,
don't say.
And then walk over to that person right now while you're listening to this podcast and repeat after me. Hello, random stranger. So when you see somebody at a cafe, have you been approached like this? I'm sure you have.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, out here it's super common for people just to chat up. People.
I will say, like, I approach people. Like, I'm not.
You're an anomaly.
I'm definitely not above chatting with a babe. You know, like, and people say like, oh, nobody talks like in in a cafe in Canada. Nobody will talk to you. And like, again, don't make it weird, but it's really not that hard. You know, if you've been to this cafe 3 or 4 times, the same guy's working on his laptop, he looks attractive, you want to chat with him and be like, you know, do you always work this hard, or is it just when you're in this cafe? You know, like make some sort of like chit chat. And if he's like, I always work this hard, and then goes back to his, obviously he doesn't want to talk to you. But you can make those light little openings, right? Same with a woman. If a guy came up to me and he was like, do you always work this hard, or is it just when I'm in this cafe? I would be like, depending, right? So if I'm attracted to him, I'd be like, oh man, it's just, I'm working on something, blah, blah, blah. It gives me an opening.
Yes.
Right? Or it gives me an opportunity to be like, I do. Thanks. You know?
Yeah.
You have that light banter.
I think the light opening is a really brilliant, like that's exactly what I would be stating. The same thing is like find a light way to connect and talk, even if it's like asking for the Wi-Fi password and then being like, what are you working on?
Yes.
Like something to that effect. And then you see how much somebody wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
So it's really important that first, like if they give you a cold shoulder and they're like, it's on the board.
Yeah.
And just get back to it's like, okay.
Yep.
They probably have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or they just aren't
not open,
they're just not receptive. So it's okay, like drop it. But if they give you a little bit of time a day, you can start up a little conversation, ask some nice light questions and find a common bond, and then create an inside joke. And then
so one thing I will say, I don't like being complimented on the first.
Don't
walk up to me and be like, wow, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what to do with that. You know, I don't know if we're going creep factor here or genuine, authentic. Like, I'm just not like, don't make it a compliment right off the bat.
That's literally never been my style.
No.
I don't think I've ever really gone up to a girl and like, like seriously said it. I've said it jokingly in other languages just to fuck around. When we're trying to get this table for our friends when we're at a restaurant and there's a bunch of Russian girls and we needed their table. So I like went up to one of them and it was like, Извините, отлично выглядишь. It was like, excuse me, you look great today. And she's like, oh my God. And I was like, can we have your table? And it worked because like going up to a group of Russian girls is really unapproachable. It's hard. It's really difficult. So I just went to go break the ice and joke around. So like that worked, right? And it was just funny to like get your way in that sense, break the ice. But I'd say other than that, if it's not like you have an angle to speak a different language and you're clearly not that culture, like that's funny. So it can kind of like work just to break, make it weird and fun. But like just going up to someone and be like, you're the most beautiful person in this place. Like, even if a girl went up to me and she's like, excuse me, you're so handsome. Like I would be like, thanks, but like,
I don't know how to respond to this.
It's totally. A bit like, oh, I don't really know what to do. So I feel like you're totally right in that sense, both guys and girls, is to like strike up a conversation and find something you got in common as quick as humanly possible.
And the like confidence is important. Know that you're a valuable, incredible human, and this person's life can be made better by getting to know you. So have that kind of confidence. I want to address, like, you're listening to this in the gym. There's a hot girl over there. She's working out.
Yes.
Do not go tell her how to do what she's doing. Don't even comment on it. You know?
No.
Like, the best you can do is like, leg day sucks, hey? You know, some sort of like camaraderie.
Yeah.
But that's all. And if she doesn't have noise canceling headphones on, you know, like just.
What about if they see you kind of bobbing your head and like, hey, what are you listening to?
I mean, yeah, that would work. Like if I'm like jamming to my music and they like kind of like wave and they're like, what are you listening to? That's a good opening.
I feel like it's a decent opening. Yeah. If like you can see they're having fun. If they're just like what are you listening to? Like, you got anything good? Like that could be like, I think if you're asking for some sort of help in a situation that's not like too weird, but you're like, you got anything good to listen to? Like my music sucks right now. And that's like a opening.
Yep.
And like, oh, that music's horrible. And then like move on. Or you're like, oh, actually I heard that other great album. Yeah. Have you heard this one?
Yeah.
And so like, okay, that can be like an opening.
Yep.
Because the gym, I think it is a difficult place to meet somebody. But like, for instance, Karina, bring her up again. I met her at the gym and I saw her on the treadmill for like a few times. And I was like, damn, that girl's fire. Like she looks gorgeous. Oh my God. Like that's gotta be somebody's wife. I just kept thinking that. Like, oh my God, like just the way she carried herself. And it wasn't like hot girl approach me in the gym energy. It was just like beautiful doing my own thing, getting in, getting out. But like there's something about that. But I knew I'm not going to go and approach someone while they're on the treadmill, or like doing like a Stairmaster. It's a difficult place to usually talk to somebody in a way. So luckily we bumped into each other at the same time. Yes. And bumped into each other at the same time. And I was like, oh, hey, you've been coming like regularly. I've been seeing you here. Oh, great. You too. Hi, I'm Aren. Okay, great. What's your name? What do you do? Oh, you work at a yoga studio. That's so cool. Like you manage one. one of my coaching clients is actually looking to move here to get a job in a yoga studio. Do you guys hire? And she's like, well, yeah, I do the hiring, but we don't usually hire, people from Europe. It's usually Indian yoga teachers. I'm like, well, that's cool. She's like, but you could totally give me his resume and I could like talk to him. I'm like, awesome. That was the end.
Yeah.
So it was completely indirect.
Yeah.
But deep down behind, I was fucking running game. So I was running game. That was like my way in.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, okay, long play. And so then it was like, gave the contact. How did it go? The client, it didn't work out as I knew it would. Great. Okay, that's cool. He drives by Karma House all the time. She sees it. Happy to see what's going on there. I'm like, come check it out. We got Indian chai now. We have really amazing chai. She's like, oh, cool. I like chai. I'm like, yeah, great. And then one of the days was like, oh, did you just finish the gym? Yeah, me too. I just finished work. It's late. Did you eat dinner? And it was like, it was 10 minutes, like zero, spur of the moment. Absolutely not pre-planned date or anything like that. It's like, I didn't have dinner. Do you have dinner? No, you didn't have dinner. You want to grab a bite? Oh, okay. And we just met up and had food, and it didn't even feel like it wasn't really like a planned date at all.
Right.
But I was mainly just seeing what she was like alone.
Yep.
Because I didn't know if I wanted to date or not. Like I didn't know what I wanted out of the situation, but I was curious who this person was. So it was very low maintenance. And that was like a cool thing to do. I think that was easy, low maintenance type of situation.
Totally.
And then we went to go get dang cookies after, those amazing cookies. And we're eating cookies and our knees touched. And that's when she was like, oh, he's into me.
Oh, so cute.
Slight touch, And so that's important. I think that's like a good progression of things. But the cold pickup, I mean, it depends the context of where you are. Because like clubs and bars, like it's kind of like,
we're talking about different, right? Like, again, like before we started, I was like, the people that listen to the Ink Pray Love podcast are people who are into personal development. They're not just like going to fuck. And if they are, they're not listening to this podcast.
My followers like to fuck.
But they're not listening to this podcast just to like, how do I get luckier at the club?
I'm just
right?
joking. 100%. I don't think like they're exactly like at the, like, sure, like they definitely love to have a good time here and there, but they're not like going to the club to pick up as much. I mean, if you are, great, awesome. But I feel like the type of, they're usually into what I'm into. And so I really feel like you're going to the gym or you're going to yoga classes, you like bookstores, you go to nice restaurants in the sense like those cafes, like those are great places to meet people, co-working spaces, community events, like the meeting people in events and in the community is so much easier than online with like, Bumble or Tinder where it's the quality of your interactions are super low. So it's really like a very, very low shop. It's like you're shopping, but you don't really know what you're going to get. It's kind of like ordering on Tokopedia out here. Tokopedia is like our Amazon in Amazon.com out here in Indonesia, where you'll order some stuff, but like half the time it kind of sucks. Like it's not really what you thought it was going to be.
It's never going to be what you thought it was going to be.
It's kind of scammy a little bit. It's like a shit version of what you were thinking you're going to get. It doesn't have the same quality standards as Amazon, but Tokopedia is dope. Like bless you, Tokopedia.
Yes.
This podcast is sponsored by Tokopedia.
I wish.
No. And so like I think that's like a really important thing to have is you're meeting people in a place that is aligned to what you want in your life.
And this circles back to what I was saying is like it's so sexy when a person is doing the things that light them up that they love to do. Right? If you're a runner, be part of a runner's club.
100%.
If you're yoga, commit to a yoga studio. If you like really nice coffee, go to that really nice coffee shop and enjoy it. So I feel like there's this needy energy that I seem to see reoccurring in men that I'm dating is like this, like, oh, I've always wanted someone to do this with. It's like, nah, man, do it yourself.
Totally.
And like I am so much more attracted to that. And you're more likely to meet people who are into the same things as you.
Yeah.
Right? So going to the gym, going to nice restaurants, it's not, I mean, maybe you're going to disagree with me, but I don't think it's a loser move to go eat at a nice restaurant by yourself. If you like the restaurant, your friends are busy, go and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yoga classes, like all of these things, like go do the things. Like if you're an entrepreneur, rent a space in a co-working area. Like there are so many ways to like connect with people while you're lit up and you're already going to feel more confident because you're doing the thing that you 100%. Love. Be in that energy, stay in that energy.
It's the best place I think to actually meet people is those like high vibrational events. Like Ubud's amazing for it, Bali's amazing for it, but you can find them in your city too. Is like go to where you want to see your future self and what like lights you up, and then meet people that are in that sphere.
Absolutely.
I mean, the best way, I'm not a big fan of dating apps. Like I really am not, because I don't think it's a great way to meet people, because I feel like that social trust factor is super important when you're getting kind of referrals through friends.
Yes.
So like if you're going to a community event group and then your homie brought, you know, a homie that you were into, or like you came to a community event and then you brought a gal pal that, you know, one of us haven't met yet. Like, okay, it's like through a friend, and that kind of like positive interaction, like an acquaintance friend removed, brings somebody is all, I think, the best way to kind of meet people. Like it really does help to have that that little like foot in the door. And also, you know, you can ask your homie like, hey, is that person crazy? Like,
absolutely.
It's helpful. So that's why I don't think dating apps are great, because they're so anonymous.
Yeah.
I think they're great if you're traveling.
Yep.
You know, that's cool if you're traveling. Maybe it's cool if like you don't want to go to clubs and you're in a big busy city and it's like hard to like go to places to meet people.
You're busy with work, like you have a lot going on. It's tough for you to like make time to meet people, sure.
Yeah.
But again, when you do plan a date, make it something that's interesting, that you like to do. Make it a memory that you're creating together.
Yeah. Or bring your dogs for a walk. Make sure your dogs get along.
Yeah, that's really important.
This is important. It's like, actually, like, it's actually important. If your dog
doesn't like him, if my dog doesn't like you, well, first off, you must be the devil, because my dog likes
yeah. But
yeah.
No, that's wild. Well, once they get to the sexual part, then they can get some help from you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm here for you.
Shameless plug.
Here for you. Yeah, I mean, like the thing is like I work with clients who are single, who have just been frustrated with in the past, and they're like, the next time I'm in a relationship, I don't want to face this issue anymore. I got you. I've definitely love working with people who are in couples, who are really just wanting to connect deeper and really find that like alignment in their sex drives and their desires and stuff like that. So I definitely work with the gamut. And it's like I say this all the time, it's the best job in the world. It is so rewarding. The ways people's lives change, like you don't realize how your confidence in the bedroom is impacting the rest of your life until that changes. And when it changes, you'll be shocked at the trajectory shift, right?
Yeah.
So I think I mean, obviously, I think sex coaching is really, really important.
Yeah.
Obviously, not needed by everybody, but I think that, if you are considering it, like it's the best idea. The worst case, it's you spend an hour, a little bit of money, and you come away with tools you didn't have before.
Yeah. I think it's super important. Like if you're like I'm looking to, you know, get better at certain things, I'll hire somebody just to give me an insight, so I'll gain the skills.
Right.
So I think if it's an important aspect of your life, which it is for everyone's life, is like learn some skills.
Yes.
It's super great. Like I did a bunch of tantra trainings, and I did a teacher training. I did a bunch of work when I first came to Bali, and it was super important for me to actually learn about intimacy in a different way. Because before it was all like, well, we better get drunk together, you know, like it's like Western life, right? So it was drinking and drugs and smoking pot and, you know, going to fancy restaurants, and that was kind of like how intimacy happened. And then learning how to be totally present with someone and not needing alcohol to connect.
That's huge.
And now I actually much prefer when you're getting to know someone to not drink together. And I think it's actually a great practice, really, especially I was doing 75 hard and I was getting to know people sober. It was amazing. Now here I barely drink in Bali. So it was like awesome. You know, it's harder in the Western culture, but I think doing like sober dates for the first few dates is like, it's a vibe. So, you know, and getting the skills then when you get to the sexual aspect of it to get some proper help.
Absolutely.
My thing that I like to help my coaching clients with is if they're like single and they're like, how do I meet like a high level woman? It's like, well, how do we make you high level first, in the sense like, so how do we build yourself up to be someone that's super desirable and dateable? So like, do you have community? Do you have, you know, good income? Like you have purpose, you feel great in your body, you're fit, you know, you have interesting shit to talk about because you're taking great information in, like you're shifting and growing and you're growing as a human. So all of these things combined make you kind of like a Renaissance man or woman. So you're like, I'm good at all of these things,
right?
Or working on all these things at the very least. So then when you meet somebody, they're like, cool, this person's in a growth stage, perpetual growth stage, but not just like, I don't really do much. I just kind of do my thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, I mean, people like us who move out here, and especially people who listen, are usually people who are interested in growth.
Yes.
So if you meet somebody who's just like stagnant, you know, they just have some stagnant job. It's going to be like this. They just want to watch reality TV and just do that's it. And when you meet somebody like that, you're like, oh, like judgy, of course, a little bit, but I mean, it's everything's judgy in this world. We're all gauging how we want to interact with people.
The thing is that those are your choices. Those are your life. Awesome. I hope you align with somebody who also wants to just like hang out at home and watch reality TV. And if you're like our friend Gary, who likes to jump off the side of mountains,
there you go.
I hope that he meets someone who gets really excited about, wild adventures.
Yeah.
So it's just aligning yourself. And again, you're looking and you're like, wow, she's so out of my league. Get yourself in her league.
Definitely.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can make it happen.
Yeah. And then that also says I like it when I see like those reality TV shows of like those super fat people in love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they should definitely like get in shape. Of course, it's unhealthy, but
this thing you've been watching?
I don't usually. I just see clips of it, and I'm like, good for them. Like I'm happy they find love too. That's what I'm just trying to say, man. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
I don't know either.
Big people need love too. I'm just happy to find people, but also like how like interesting are their lives. So I just want to see like them like have like the hobbies and shit. Yeah, I'm just digging myself a fucking hole.
You really are digging a huge hole here.
An absolute hole with this one.
Oh my gosh.
So guys, thanks for coming to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. If you have any questions, message me and Jenna. We love talking to our homies out there. We love, answering questions, unless you're a pervy Indian person.
Ask me about my feet.
Yeah, ask her about her feet. Send her pictures of your dick. Everyone listening, if you'd please send Jenna pictures of your dick.
Just don't.
We'd appreciate that very much. So let me know if you did it. And follow her on Instagram if you're not already. She has amazing knowledge and great courses and classes and one-on-one coachings and all the things out there. And we will see you on the next episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. Side plug, I've been trying Not Coffee. It's a like coffee substitute. I barely drink coffee anymore. Today was like one of the first ones I had in a while, and it's been really helping me in the mornings. And my homie Jeremy, he has this brand called Not Coffee, and so he sent me a bunch, and I just wanted to like shout him out for sending me like a bunch.
That's awesome.
As a little sponsor for this episode. But like I feel great in the mornings because like now I really want to have that in the morning because it's like adaptogenic mushrooms. It's all sorts of like lion's mane, cordyceps, cacao. Amazing. So it's like a magic cacao one that I have in the morning, and it's not sweet. Hippie. It's like actually like super healthy. So I drink that in the morning, and then I have my meditation, and then I do my reading, and I play this little crossword app on the Elevate app, every morning for some reason. And I like feel good. Like that's actually great. So I just think you guys try Not Coffee, give it a shot, and tell Jeremy I sent you. Tell them that the Ink Pray Love podcast sent you there. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode. Happy dating.
What?
Bye guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. I hope you found it inspiring, entertaining, funny, and also feeling a little bit more present and connected to yourself. Please leave a review and like and subscribe and do all those things. I'd really appreciate that. As well as if you're feeling in a giving mood, this podcast is there for the charities that I love to support. Go to www.arenbaya.com/charity and get some of those good karma points. This podcast is brought to you by LightHouse Studios in Bali, as well as Full Reset Coaching. That is my coaching practice. And if you're looking for help in business, inner game impact, and building your legacy to be something you're proud of, your brand, your business, and how you walk the earth and who you impact, and also having the mindset and the heart set to be able to be happy handling it all. I'm here for you. Just DM me. Let's go. Peace out, homies. I'll see you on the next episode.